Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Error 404, Podcast Not Found. I am Phoenix.
And I'm your other host, for the first time ever, Cameron.
And today we'll be talking about the assassination of the 20th President, James A. Garfield. Born in Maryland Hills, Ohio, on the 19th of November in 1831, James Abram Garfield was born into the hands of Eliza Ballin Garfield and Abram Garfield. Later in life, James obtained a college-level education from Williams College and Martin Fields House Hiram College. In March of 1881, Garfield was then elected by the people of the U.S. to become the 20th president, serving only 6.5 months until, in September 1881, the Republican had been shot and passed away, twice in the back with a revolver. Living 11 weeks after the event, many modern doctors think he would have lived, but due to the unsanitary conditions at the time, he unfortunately passed away. At the age of 49, Garfield had a wife, Latricia Garfield, and 7 kids. Harry A. Garfield, James R. Garfield, Mary Molly Garfield, Irvin McDowell Garfield, Abram Garfield, Eliza Annabelle Little Trot Garfield, and Edward Nettie Garfield.
Wow, that's cool. So now we're going to talk about the much more exciting person in this story.
The assassin!
Charles Julius Guiteau. You see, he was crazy. So he was born near Freeport, He was born near Freeport, Illinois on September 8th, 1841. And in 1850, when he was 9, you hear that? 9 years old, he moved to Uleo, Wisconsin. And then after his mother died in 1855, his father moved them all back to Freeport, Illinois. Guiteau inherited $1,000, $28,000 today, from his grandfather and went to Ann Arbor, Michigan to attend the University of Michigan. But he goofed on the entrance exam and went and said, "So much for real life, I'm going to join a commune." Specifically, he joined the Oneida community in New York. In Oneida, New York.
God. No. What's a commune?
What, you don't know what a commune? Oh, it's like this group of religious people, and they all live together and they all believe the same thing. I didn't Google it. Anyways, for the most part, the Oneida community was your pretty standard religious fellowship, except they believed in something called Christian perfectionism, which means they try and live their life free of sin and try and reach a divine level of perfection while still on earth. While most people would do this through rough discipline, they just got together and roasted the hell out of each other. They just yelled at each other. "Oh, you want to be a better person? Your shoulders are too wide." That's what it was.
You want to have a child? Go find someone to marry!
They also practiced eugenics. Commune members who wished to be parents would go before a committee and have to submit an application and be judged, and they had to be approved and matched based on their spiritual and moral qualities. Once children were weaned, they were raised in the children's wing. Wouldn't want those babies to think they're deserving of any love.
I know, right?
They also believed in male continence, everyone's favorite thing. You know what that means?
No, what is that?
Male continence is you're gonna have sex with whoever you want, but as long as the guy does not sneeze. It's the old pelvic sneeze, dude. Come on. Then it's not a sin, because as the Bible says, if the dick don't spit, you must acquit. Guiteau thought that he was gonna at least get some of this free love. While everyone else's criticism was standard, you had to do it, you had to go roast someone. Everyone genuinely hated him. The called him Charles Get Out in the hopes that he'd leave. And after 5 long years of this, he left and went to Hoboken, New York. He tried starting a newspaper themed around the Oneida community, but that went nowhere because no one cares about the Oneida community. And he tried to sue the commune for all of his free labor. But, apparently I'm Mad doesn't hold up in court, but I don't know. So naturally he thinks, my devotion as God has failed me. I'm gonna become a lawyer. And he then got into the University of Michigan, studied law, and then came out of the University of Michigan. And he only argued in one actual case. He spent all the rest of his time just collecting bills. He also met his wife during this time. It's pretty neat. Guiteau and his wife fled to New York to get bill collectors off their tail because working with the debtors showed Guiteau how debtors operate and think. So that would allow him to dodge bills left and right. And then, because he couldn't be a lawyer, because now all these bill collectors were after him, he became a politician, because why not? Guiteau was a firm Democrat. He supported Horace Greeley against the incumbent president, Ulysses S. Grant. Greeley lost terribly, but Guiteau was convinced that if Greeley won, he would fulfill Guiteau's dreams to become the Minister of Chile. Because you know how you can just name a job and it's yours? Guiteau and his wife began having marital troubles because, they're constantly on the run. So they devised a plan, because you couldn't just divorce back in 1874. So Guiteau banged a prostitute and had her testify in court, and it worked. The only downside was syphilis. Respect.
Respect up.
He next turned to theology because what hasn't he done? And he wrote a book called The Truth, which was almost entirely plagiarized from John Humphrey Noyes, the founder of the Oneida community. But eventually, Guiteau gets back into politics 6 years later, in 1880, during the presidential campaign. Oh, he's a Republican now, by the way. During the campaign, the Republican Party was largely split into factions, the stalwarts and the half-breeds, which sounds like some Tolkien shit. The stalwarts supported Ulysses S. Grant, who was shooting for his third term, and the latter supporting James G. Blaine. Guiteau decided to support the stalwarts and wrote a speech in support of Ulysses S. Grant called Grant Against Hancock, which he revised to Garfield Against Hancock after Garfield won the Republican nomination. Ultimately, Guiteau changed literally nothing except for the name and any mention of Greeley. Grant. Let's see, what else? Guiteau believed himself to be largely responsible for Garfield's victory over the Democrat Winfield Scott Hancock that November. He insisted he should be awarded a consulship for his supposedly vital assistance, first asking for Vienna, then deciding that he would rather have one in Paris. Guiteau's narcissistic personality convinced him that his work for the party was critical to Garfield's election to the presidency. Later convinced that Garfield was going to destroy the Republican Party, he decided the only solution was to remove Garfield and elevate Vice President Chester A. Arthur. Guiteau felt that God told him to kill the president. He felt that such an act would be a removal as opposed to an assassination. Because you know how when you kill a public figure, you're just like, I don't want him anymore. Just like, get out. Go.
You, I don't like you. BAM!
Guiteau set out to purchase a revolver. He had to choose between one with wooden grips and ivory grips. He could not afford the ivory one, so the guy lowered the price for him. He only chose the ivory grips because it would look better in a museum. Because he knew that he was going to end up in a museum.
Respect.
Respect, yo. Let's see. And then, On July 2nd, 1881, at the Baltimore and Potomac Railroad Station, Garfield entered the station, looking forward to a vacation with his wife in Long Branch. Guiteau stepped forward and shot Garfield twice from behind. After a long, painful battle with infections, possibly brought on by his doctors poking and prodding the wound with unwashed hands and non-sterilized instruments, Garfield died on September 19th, 11 weeks after being shot. Fun fact, doctors believe that Garfield would have survived if the doctors were digging around in him with dirty tools and unwashed hands. Charles Julius Guiteau was hanged on June 30th, 1882, in the District of Columbia, just 2 days before the anniversary of the shooting.
And that is the story of James A. Garfield's assassination, one of the lesser-known presidential assassinations, as many people know, because obviously the big one's more of John F. Kennedy, Abraham Lincoln.
But not really McKinley. No one cares about McKinley.
McKinley will probably appear in a later episode, but for now, that's all the time we have.
We didn't even have the decency to put McKinley into this podcast.
Until just now.
Yeah.
Damn, weird. Anyways, that's all the time we have, so we'll let you listen in on the next show.